So this is going to be the first video of hopefully a multiple part series where I kind of go over some of the stuff that some of the parts that I did, some of the projects that I did in order to get my CSWA certification. This will serve as a guide for people who also want to take the test or practice and learn how to use SolidWorks, as well as I'll probably throw the link to this channel into my resume. So the first thing I thought we would start at is right here. We're just going to select part on SolidWorks. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing, I think, 8 parts from this little homework assignment that one of the clubs at the school I go to kind of made for us to be able to use. And so what I just did there is I clicked here and then I put a plain white the background just because I think it's simpler and cleaner looking than having all the shadows 3-point fade. Other than that, this is what the interface looks like when you first open it. This is a new computer, so I don't have everything set up, but one of the simple things you can do is you go into customization, and then from here there's a lot to customize. So you can I added the views. So if you look up here to the top left, I enter standard views here. It helps me quickly go to a normal view or any other view that I would want to use. Then you can also go to mouse gestures. This is really helpful. Right now I've set it to 8. I might just set it to 4 for now, but I don't use these as often, but you can definitely customize these as much as you want, depending on what sort of mode you're in. But yeah, let's just start with the first part. So this is what it looks like. Usually you'll get some sort of blueprint. If we want, we can zoom out just a little bit. There we go, looks a little cleaner now. But it's a pretty simple part. They're all going to be pretty simple today. So the first thing you want to do is you want to choose a plane to work on. For this part, I think front plane is going to be the best choice. Not that it really matters, but I'm going to click front plane, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to click sketch. You can also do from up here in this menu, but it's just easier to click sketch. It automatically went normal to for us, so that's great. And then the first thing you have to do is we're going to draw this angle of it. So what I like to do is I like to draw the rough idea of it first. So it doesn't really matter how we do it, but we're just going to use the line tool, and then we're just going to draw the shape. Now, a helpful trick here is that if you go up, see it's a line. If you go back to the same point and then over again, it'll draw an arc for you. You can connect it using that relation, and it'll keep that relation for you. See, and you don't always want to use the automatic relations, but for a part like this, it should be totally fine. So you see we have the general shape, that's correct. That's what we want to have. So now we're just going to start dimensioning it. So the entire length is 120. Okay. Let me see. This distance is 30. It's going to be 30 from each side, but there we go. We'll fix the rest in a second. Let me see. The height here is 20. And I guess I didn't mention, I just started doing it, but what I clicked was Smart Dimensions right here. So once that's clicked, then you can start dimensioning everything properly. And then it gives you, right here, it gives you this big radius for the big circle, so that's what we're going to be using. And the radius for that is 30. Make sure to check if it's radius or diameter that's giving you. In this case, it let us use radius, so it's just 30. If it was diameter, you put 60. Oops, that's my home screen. And then the height here is 10. And since we had those, I guess we didn't. I thought we had the relations clicked in, but we don't, so it's a good example. You could go and you could smart dimension this and make it also 10. But another option that you could do is you can click this and then make them collinear, and it'll bring it down to the same level for you. So now everything should be properly dimensioned. There's a couple options from here. As you can see, there is a hole cut out here. So what you could do is you could extrude it first, then go back, draw the hole, cut it out. Or we could do it all in one step, which is what we're going to do here. We're going to choose this little point here is it's kind of like it's our center for the bigger circle. So that's what we're going to be using. I'm going to check the size here. Since the line is cut all the way through that circle, I don't know if you guys can see that well, but the line is cut all the way through that circle. That does mean its diameter, so This, go back to Smart Dimensions, is going to have a diameter of 30. What I was mentioning earlier with the gestures is you can use if you right click on your mouse and you go up, for example, see Smart Dimension, it'll give it automatically. That's one way to select it, or you could just select it manually from up here in the menu. At this point, it's all fully defined, which is why all the lines are black. So I'm just going to exit, and then I'm going to click extrude, and we're only going to extrude this section. I usually like to go into the page. Doesn't matter, just the way I like to do it. And then this is the side profile here. It tells you that it's 50, thickness of 50. So, and I'm working in millimeters right now. There's no weight uh, associated with this, so it doesn't matter. But on the test, it'll tell you whether it wants it in millimeters or inches or what kind of units. But yeah, that's all you have to do. Extrude, choose the size, and if you ever want to edit the extrusion, then you just right click on that edit feature. It'll let it edit the extrusion. But that's the first part. I guess we could draw on here. Yeah, we'll just draw on here. We'll keep going. So let's see. I'll leave it. So let's do the next part right after. We're just gonna keep this video pretty short. These are just basic parts. The next video will be more advanced, so might be a little longer and more intricate. But same idea here. We're gonna make this part right here, and we're gonna use this this view first to draw it. So front plane, gonna click normal to it, sketch on it, and then our origin is right here at the moment. So we'll start at the origin, and we'll draw. There's a bunch of ways we could do this, but we'll just draw with lines again. Also, a quick way to use the line tool to just press the L button on the keyboard, I guess you could say. L button, yeah. Then we're just gonna draw it. The shape kind of looks like this, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So same idea here. You could go and draw a circle in, or you could just go and draw the arc with the same thing I showed you before. So what you do is you go up, you go back, and then it'll let you draw an arc. Now in this case, we don't need an arc, so we can go back to our line. And then there we go. Oops. So I don't know if you guys noticed, I messed that up. So these two aren't connected. What we can do right here is we can just click this one, and make them coincident, and it'll connect that. Also, this line is not vertical. We need to be vertical, so just make it vertical right here with the relations. All right. I'm not gonna save it because I don't need this again. Oh, if you want to move like this from side to side without spinning, what you do is you press Control, and then you press the middle mouse button, like the scroller, and you can move it around. If you don't press Control, what happens is it spins it around. So definitely don't want that. So let's just dimension it now. I'm gonna click up here, Smart Dimensions. This is gonna be 20. Oops. This is gonna be 80. The whole length across. And that's okay, it's gonna change a lot. What we can do is we can fix it by dragging this back a little. Oops. There we go. Let's do the circle real quick. Has a radius of 10. It's a little off because we had another drawing beforehand. So it's still using those, I guess that's sizing, that's scale, that's the word, the scale. This is going to be 20 also. 10 up here. And I'm just gonna keep what I keep doing is I keep dragging this along just so that it stays relatively proper. Otherwise it'll mess up the whole thing. And then the height is going to be 60. So I can click this top line, click this bottom line, and it's gonna give us the total height as 60. And then the last thing we do is this is equidistant, so we're just gonna make this 10. And then the last thing we do is make these collinear. It's one thing. and then make sure it's the same distance on each side, which it will be, because 80 total across, 20 on this side, therefore has to be 20 on this side, because this is already defined as 40. Um, and now we just have to extrude it. It looks like it's going to be, oh yeah, here it tells you that this from here to here is 40. So I could have done that, but that's okay. So now that it's fully defined, all the lines are solid black. We can go back to features. That's what I did. Extrude. Now click this body. I like to go the opposite direction like I mentioned. And we're going to make it 80 because I believe that's what it calls for on the part. So yeah, there is that part. If you guys want to see it in a in a different view, you can either press up here, that's why we put these shortcuts, or you can always press over here. This is your like angled views, your isometric. So that's usually a nice way to look at it. Next part, let's do this one. Just gonna hide this. And then let's see how we want to approach this one. So we just have basically a rectangular like prism with a bunch of holes in it. So not too complicated. The way I like to approach a part like this is we'll go once again to front plane, we'll sketch on it, oops, and then we're going to click the rectangle tool, keep it simple. That's the center rectangle. I'm going to use a corner rectangle instead. So there's our rectangle. Now let's dimension it. 120 as our base, 100 as our height. Pretty simple. 120 as our base, 100 as our height. We're going to exit, and I'm just going to cut it right now. Like I said, there's a bunch of ways to do it. You could do everything at once to keep it simple so we can look at it as we go. I'm just going to do it in two, I think, big steps. So that's our rectangular prism. And now we're just going to do all the holes. There's a bunch of ways to approach this. We're just going to keep it simple for this tutorial. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on this top face, right click it, sorry, and then sketch. Now we're going to be sketching on this face directly. We're going to click circle, and we're just going to draw a circle. Sorry. And then what we could do, what I was mentioning, like we're going to keep it simple, but what we could do is you could draw a line kind of like through the center line. And then, well, I guess I'll show you. We can mirror everything if we wanted to. So we could draw like two circles and then mirror everything, but probably not going to deal with that right now. So let's dimension the circle first of all. It's going to be a diameter of 20. These are both equal, so we can shift click them and then hit equal. It'll make it the same size as the one that's defined. And now we need to give it location boundaries. So 20 and 20 from the corner to the center. So corner to wall, 20, and then corner to wall, 20. And what we could do is we could do another center line. I'll just show you. And then we technically wouldn't need this circle. What you would do is you go to mirror entities, you click the entity you want to mirror, then you click right here and you'd mirror it about this line, and you'd mirror it about this line. Oh, you do one at a time, sorry. So you mirror it about this line, for example, and then we wouldn't need this circle anymore. So that mirrors it perfectly like that. And then you'd go mirror again, you'd click this entity and this entity, and then you'd mirror it about this other line. So now we have all our, sorry, I'm a little sick right now. So now we have all our circles defined, and they're fully defined, of course. And now we just have to make this little pattern. I don't know what it's called. It's like a slot or something. Yeah, a straight slot. So that's how we're gonna do it ourselves. So it's been a while since I used this tool, but Let's see where it's sitting. It's positioned right in the center, 50. So we're going to draw a line, a slot, and then from here you can make it as big or as small as you want. So since we already have that center line and we know it's got to be centered, I'm just going to draw on that center line. I kind of want to hide this line. I'll do it later. It doesn't matter. So we'll just check it right now, and then we're going to dimension it. So one thing we can do is from here to here. It's probably going to say it's already fully defined, but just to make sure it is 50. We don't need to make it dimension driven. We don't need the dimension. We already put it on the center line. And then the radius of the circle is going to be 10. And it's going to make the radius of everything 10, so it's fine. And now it gives you the length right here from center to center of the two circles is 60. So we're going to define that really quick. Let me just pull this down so it's a little cleaner. And I'm sorry. The last thing is the distance from this point on the circle to the outer wall is 30, so we're really close, but you gotta make it perfect. And now everything is fully defined, all the lines are filled in, and the insides are a dark blue. So we're gonna click exit, and now we're gonna use extruded cut. We haven't used this tool yet, so it's a good chance to use it. It's gonna be a blind cut. We're just gonna select the oh, it's already selected. I was confused. I didn't see it. So I would just went into another view. And since we're going through all, we can just click through all. This will just make sure that it goes through everything. It's not really necessary. You can also do through all both if you want to make sure it went both directions. But in this case, through all is going to be enough. And we're just going to cut it through. And we'll put it in an isometric view. And that's our part, you see? Example part, our part, perfect. Let's just hide that. Alright, let's just hide this. And let's see, next part. Alright, this one is also a pretty simple part. A little more complicated, but you see the general shape again is a rectangular prism, so we're going to do the exact same technique for this one. We're going to go into sketch. We're going to choose our plane, front plane once again, sketch on it. We're just going to draw another corner rectangle. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. If you guys have any suggestions for future tutorials, how I can improve them, just let me know, please. But yeah, hopefully this serves as a good tool for you guys to study with. This time, let's do it a little differently. Rather than cutting everything after, let's just cut well, let's cut one of them right now, and then we'll cut these guys after, so I can show you a couple different tools. Alright? So we're gonna make, let's dimension this real quick. It's gonna be 80 by 20, 20, 20, 60. So 80 by 60. This one's 80. This is gonna be 60. And then we're just gonna draw another rectangle right in the center. We're going to dimension this one the same way, so it's 20 by 20. This one's actually a square. And 20. And they tell us the distance from this face to the bottom is 20. And the distance from this face to the outside is 30. It's fully defined. We can exit now. Go to features, extrude this. Let me see. Swiss direction. We'll do a blind extrusion. And we have to extrude it 50 millimeters. Let's extrude that. Okay. So now you can already see we have part of our shape done. Now we just have to cut these out. Alright, so there's a couple of important things we can do here. First, I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to press sketch. Again, I'm just going to sketch on top of the existing sketch. And now we're just going to use our line tool. And we're going to draw the general shape. I'll do it two different ways. We could mirror this, just like I showed you in the previous part. Mirror it across the center line, so we don't have to do it twice. I'll just show you two different options. So first of all, you see we drew these lines, but we do need them to be curved, right? What this means, 4 times R10, it means that there's 4 uh, instances of this 10 millimeter radius on this part. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They say 4 because they don't tell you here what the radius is. So by saying it this way, you know already what the radius has to be. Okay? So then what we can do, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the fillet tool, the sketch fillet. So this one right here, the radius is going to be 10 millimeters, and then you're just going to click on the corner, and it's going to automatically do for you. Now, one thing that's super important we have to look at is you see this distance? That means there's a 10 millimeter length right here that's straight. So we have to make sure this is 10. Perfect. And now we have to define the height, the position of the part. So it's going to be 10 from the top also. And that should be equal, like equidistant on both sides. So 10. Perfect. And that's one side of it. Now we can't actually cut this out because this part is not closed. We need this. So one way we could do this is we can just connect the line through here. But then you'd have to define the line. Or we can go to this tool right here, convert entities, and we're going to click. And what this does is it takes an entity from before, so from a previous drawing rather than make a new one, and it converts it so we can use it for this sketch. So you see how it makes it a solid black line right here? The only problem is it runs all the way top to bottom. So then we're going to use this trim entity tool, and we're just going to long click, and we're going to cut across it. So then this way it gets rid of the excess, and now you see it's filled in with a dark blue right here, which means that's our entire part. Perfect. Of course, it took a little longer than needed, but that was just to show a couple different ways we could do it. The other option for the other side is to keep it even simpler. Let me just not use any pre-existing definitions or parameters, and we're just going to draw a rectangle rather than draw lines. So that already saved us some time. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to go and we're going to add fillets, just like we did before. And then now we're just going to define, again, our height. So this is 10. This is 10. And then, what else? This is 10. And it should be fully defined. These are both equal. They were just done in two different ways. We're going to exit. We're going to go into features, extruded cut, and we're going to cut through all. Just to make sure it cuts through all, we'll go 3D. And there we go. Put a nice symmetric view. That's our part, just like they did it. I think we have 2 or 3 more parts. Alright, this one's another part we can do right now real quick. Last time I did it, I did make a little mistake, so hopefully I get it first try. Let's hide this one, and we're going to do the same thing again. We'll use front plane, just like we did before. So sketch on that front plane. Now we have to decide how we want to approach this. I'd say we just start with 2 circles, 2 big circles. So we'll do, we'll start them at the origin. I like to start at the origin so that it has a reference point. And then these are going to be on the same line. So you see this, the automatic dimension here. We're going to just follow that, and we're going to use that. Draw it nice and big. And then we want to connect those 2 lines. So we'll just place it randomly right here. And I don't want it to have it's like auto clicking in. I prefer that it doesn't. And then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Just connect it with a line. Okay. And now what we can do is we want to make sure that everything here is tangent. So you're going to click the line on the circle, or sorry, this point in the circle, and you're going to make sure it's tangent. And then we're going to click this line in this circle, make it tangent. Same thing here, click this line, this circle, make it tangent, and then this circle, this line, make a tangent, and now everything should be tangential to itself. Let's set our radius. So the big circle here has a radius of 20. This is giving us diameter, so that's fine. We'll just make it 40. And this is giving us a diameter of 76. It needs to be a radius of 40, so diameter of 80. And then the, oops, I keep doing that. And the distance between these two center lines of our center points is 130. And then one thing we might want to make sure, even though it should have kept this, we want to kept this relation, we've got to make sure that they're horizontal. So now everything's fully defined, but as you see, this area is still white. So we want to trim the excess entities. Trim that, trim that. Now it's filled in. And we want to add these circles in. So click the circle tool, same center point, draw one, draw the other. And now the diameter of this one is 20. And the diameter of this one should probably be 40. Let me double check. No, 45. So you can just double click it, change it to 45. Everything is fully defined and looking right. Now we need to extrude it a thickness of 20. So reverse direction. We'll do blind and 20 millimeter extrusion. There we go. So that's that part. Not very complicated. We'll put in an isometric view, and it looks the same as their part. This one's a little thicker, but it's not actually. It's just 20 millimeter thickness, so this drawing itself is a little off. Might be from an older version. Just a last look on it if you guys want to double check your work. Alright, now we're just going to go down to this one. So I'm sure by this point you guys can assume how we're going to start this. We're just going to start it with one big cube. Let me hide this drawing. And we can go back to front plane and sketch on it. Let's start with our, I said one big cube, but I think I meant rectangle. We'll start with one rectangle. We're going to go into our smart dimensions, and the height of this rectangle, let's see. Okay, the height is 90, and the width is, the base is 100, I think. So, whoops, smart dimension, make this base, make this base 100, make the height 90. Yeah, that makes sense. And this is showing us the height of where this circle is, that's 70, so the center of the circle starts at 70. So let's draw our circles in. We're just going to do everything at once this time. So this is going to be 70. I thought I clicked 70. 70, there we go. It's going to have a diameter of 20. And it's going to be 20 millimeters away from that edge. Now to save some time, I'm just going to shift click that, make it horizontal. I'm going to shift click the outside of the circle, make them equal. And then I'm just going to make that distance 20. Now it should be fully defined at that point. I think we have to do another slot. Yeah, so another straight slot, not complicated. We did this previously. Take a straight slot tool, draw a straight slot, make sure it's horizontal, and then just put it down. And now we'll just define it. So the height is 30. The length here is 40. The radius of the circles are 10. And we need one more definition. It's distance from one of the edges, so it tells you the distance from here to here is 30. So everything's fully defined. The last step we have to do is we have to make these rounded corners. And just like we did in the previous, one of the previous parts, you just use the fillet tool, click the corner, click this corner, define it. We need I'll show you right here, a radius of 20 for the fillets. So 20, press enter, cut them out, looks great, press exit. And now we need to extrude it a distance of 40. You know, I don't like to go out of the page, I like to go into it. So 40. Let me double check. Perfect, and then just put it in my symmetric view. That is our part. Let's see, I think there are two more, so we'll do these real quick. That's a little bit of a longer tutorial, but it gives you a lot of parts to do along with me. Also, I'll try to attach this document in the description of this video, so if you guys want to do follow along with me, or you want to do it before I do it, then you can do so, of course. So this is our shape right here. It's good to get a general idea of what the shape is going to look like ahead of time. We're going to just hide this part. Go back to our front plane, sketch on it. But yeah, I'll put this file in the description, that way you guys can look at it as much as you want, download it, do it yourself. Okay, so the first step here, there's a bunch of ways we can approach this. I'd say let's just start with a line. So we're going to do a line all the way here. We're going to do an arc, line. The line will go all the way to here, because we're going to fillet it up. Line up, arc, line down. Doesn't really make sense what I said, but you'll see what I mean in just a second. So, line, let me move a little bit this way. That's our horizontal line. And then we're going to go out, back to the point, draw our arc. We're going to go back in, up, out, back in, draw our arc. And that's a little silly, but it's fine. We'll leave this line right here. Now, why did I leave that line right there? Because we want these two lines to touch, but I didn't draw it that way. So it's not a big deal. We're just going to click this point, and make them coincident. And it's going to unite them at the same point. Alright, let's do these two radiuses first, radii, the big ones. So this one has a radius of 25. This one has a radius of 20. So, radius of 20, radius of 25. That's okay. Next, this distance right here is 100. So first we're going to make the fillet in that case. So make a fillet. Let's see how big the fillet is. Radius of 50. Alright, so there's not enough room for the fillet, so what we can do is we can stretch this out. The reason that says that is because if the radius is 50, there has to be at least room to make that 50 millimeter fillet. So, oops. Let's make it again. 50. Now there's enough room, you can see. It clearly doesn't go past these 2 points. Perfect. And now we can smart dimension this. From here to here, it's going to be a... Wow, that turned out perfect. So we don't need that. The distance is already 100. And that's because of the other conditions that we put in. What we do need to do is make this distance 10, because that one's not set yet. There we go. And we need to make... Actually, that should be it. Let me see. That's 10. This is 100. Oh, the whole length of the part is 150. That's what we need to know, I think. Is it? Yeah, without the circular part, this image goes along with this one. So without the circular part, from here to here is 150. So we need to define that. 150. And that should be fully defined. I also do want to draw the circles first. cut the cutouts before we exit. So this one is going to be diameter of 22, diameter of 20. We can easily do that. We know how to do it by now. So diameter of 22. I think I did that right. Let me see. Diameter of 20. Yeah. And that should be fully defined. The thickness of our part is going to be 40. And let me just double check. This should be 100 if we did it properly. Yep. Okay. So at this point we can exit. We can extrude it. Always the other direction. Make it 40. Boom. There is the part, just like the one that they made. One last part. This one maybe looks a little more complicated, but if anything, it's probably easier than some of the other parts that we did, so we'll bust this one out real fast. Sorry. You see general shape right here. Honestly, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw it with the line tool. I could do it with a rectangle and then cut out everything, which is how I used to like to do stuff. But since I know it's a simple sketch, there's no point to overcomplicate how we make it. So I'm just going to take the line tool, just draw everything out like we've been doing. I'm going to keep it simple for this first tutorial. So let's hide that. Go back to our front plane, sketch on it again. Now let me just see that I remember how to do it. Alright, so we'll start from here. We'll go up, cross, down. Now make sure you don't have... Okay, so this one might have set dimension automatically for me. I don't know if you guys see this angled line. If it did, it's not a big deal. You can always remove auto relations, but usually for angles, you don't want auto relations. And I can't get rid of the arc. So we'll just re-click it. Let me see. We'll go up. We're going to do our arc now. And we're going to connect it back down. So obviously this looks a little bit off, but something that goes to show you that it's not a big deal how it looks as long as the general shape is there. So at this point we're just going to define, go into our smart dimensions. That was 50, I think. And it's going to look good really fast. From here to here is 30. Yep. This height right here is 10. This distance is 75. Oopsie, I keep doing that. Sorry about the cough. I'm feeling a little off lately. This distance right here is 30. The height here is 20, and then the bigger height is 30, so we can do it at the same time. 20. 30. And the final thing we need to do is make this distance from here to here 10, which will auto define our angle. Let me clean this up a bit so you guys can see everything. There we go. Looks a little better. The radius should already be auto-defined because we did this distance from the center to here is 30, and since it's a circle, that's a radius. This distance right here is the same thing as the radius, so we don't need to define that again. And the total distance of this piece is what we need to define last, is 150. So from this face all the way to this face is 150, and now it's fully defined. Let's put this circle so we can cut it out in one go. Circle tool, put it on the same center as the other one, and set the diameter to 30. Perfect. Exit this, go to extrude, make sure it's facing the way you want it, and extrude it a distance of 50 millimeters. And there we go. That is our final part in today's video. I'll set it to an isometric view, and it looks just like their part. If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I guess I should say, because it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be putting out more of these hopefully pretty soon, and I do wish everybody the best of luck if they're practicing and trying to pass their tests. Let me know if you have any suggestions for any of the future videos. I know I'm not the most exciting person out there, but I just want to keep these short and useful. I'll be putting some more complicated stuff out in the next couple of videos. This was kind of like an introduction, and it'll help you, especially if if you go to the same school I do, then you'll recognize some of these pieces and projects, and it should help you get your voucher for your examination, especially if you're stuck on some of them, since they can be a little bit difficult. Once again, this PDF will be thrown in the description for you guys to use as much as you want.